So today we have with us Suryansh Bhaiya, who is an incoming graduate student at London Business School and our very own MJ alumni. So this conclave will encompass Shriyan's experience in the field of masters in management, some useful tips for getting started with research, how to prepare for GRE, and various other opportunities in the domain. So let's get started. So Shriyansh, would you like to give a short intro of yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I was part of the CSE 2017 batch. So I literally just graduated and like directly went into my master's. And like I still haven't received my degree, I think. So it's quite fresh. But yeah. So uh, when I was in my undergrad, I knew that I wanted to first work in the tech sector, but probably not as a software developer because like I enjoyed the tech part of it, but not enough to make a career into it. So that's why I always figured that I would somewhere down the line pivot down into the management role. But then COVID hit. During our batch, it was like peak COVID when you were trying to get an application out, when you were trying to go for recruitment within college. And I figured that this is probably the best time that I can just go for a master's because like the recruitment within India is not going to be that great anyways. And I think that was one of the key features why I decided to pursue masters right out of undergraduate. And right now I'm in London. I'm actually in the campus itself. I'm at London School. I'm pursuing my master's in management degree here. So like our classes started like a month ago. So yeah.
Okay. So, could you share your experience, like how is it currently living in being in UK and also the campus life at London Business School?
Okay. So like living in UK is especially in London is very expensive. That's like the first thing that comes to my mind. Like for the first month or so while you're here, you keep converting the pounds into rupees and just like it won't settle in because like a coffee costs like £3, that's 300 rupees, like a normal cup of coffee. It's gonna take a while to sink in, first of all. But eventually it will, and honestly, London is an amazing place. Like it is so diverse that you can literally be walking down a road and meet people from like five different countries in a row, right? So that kind of cultural diversity that you get in London is like just not there in India, obviously, because like we are such a huge nation within. And as to campus life here, it's very, very intense. And like on a daily basis, like the classes aren't that much to be honest. Like this week, I only had like 12 hours of classes, but we get assignments for them, we have seminars for them, we have workshops, and then there are social events, there are club activities, there are recruitment events that keep on happening. And like there'll be times when we'll be literally be jumping from one event to other. Like yesterday, I think I went to four events in a row from like 6 p.m. till like 12 a.m. And that's just how it is because like you would be interested in like most of these and even while you're doing this you'll be missing out on other events. So like this concept of FOMO, the fear of missing out, you'll get really used to it because like there's always something happening and you'll always want to do all of them, but you'll have to figure out how to prioritize and how to pick what you want to do because like different people come to like go for a master's for different reasons, right? Some go for the academics, some go to get a job, some go for the social life. So you need to understand what's important to you, and I think that really dictates how your campus life would be.
Okay. So, like, Bhaiya, when was it when you decided that okay, you want to go for the higher studies? Uh, when did you exactly figure out that okay, I
Okay.
want to sit for like placements and go for?
So like last year around May, I was like just talking to a friend about this, like about the master's situation, and he had already planned to apply, and he was preparing for the GRE. So I was talking to him that I'm also planning to give the GMAT, So then he told me that why aren't you looking into GRE? So I like my research started from there itself back in March. That okay, what's the difference between GMAT and GRE? Like, is there actually like do different schools require certain exam, or do they have like this kind of limitation? So I started out from there, and then I was just looking at different programs that were out there. Just like at that point, I hadn't really like thought, okay, I'll go for a master's for sure. But I was just looking out at different options I had available for me because, like, obviously the idea of recruiting into the peak of COVID was not really that great, right? Like, no one was sure if any one of us was going to get a job and how good that would be. And the other thing was, I knew that I didn't really want to go into like proper pure tech, like a software developer role. And so like if I wanted to pursue management down the line, I would still have to waste a couple of years working in like a software role, right? Because like if you've done computer science, there's no other role you're gonna get, right? It's either like data analytics, business security, something like that, which does require quite a bit of like coding. So at that point, I was just looking at the different options I had available, and I started researching for the different courses out there. And like, there are a lot of courses that sit in the middle ground between tech and management these days. And I was just looking at them, and I realized, okay, I really like this course, and I want to pursue this. And from that point onwards, like my journey started. That I could start like my first aim was obviously to get a really good score in the GRE because that's like mandatory requirement at most of the top universities, a GRE or a GMAT score. So I started out with my GRE preparations. All the while, I was also working on shortlisting the schools that I wanted to apply by going through the websites, by going through the curriculum, by talking to people from these different universities. And after that, I gave my GRE, then I gave my IELTS, and then like the applications opened up in September, early September. So I wanted to make sure that I got all my applications in within the first round itself. So like I would know as soon as possible that like did I get into the schools that I wanted to get in, or should I actively start recruiting and start looking for jobs? Like, and obviously, if you apply in the earliest round, then you have the best chance of getting in as well as the best chances for a scholarship. So I think like all my applications went in from like September to October. I applied to 5 universities, and like yeah, I got done with my applications, and like slowly the results started coming out.
Okay, so like basically you started your preparation from May onwards, right? And
Yeah.
it went till October. Uh,
Yeah, pretty much. Like by October, I was done with all my applications.
okay, okay. So also for the audience, we are gonna have a Q&A session at the end. So whatever queries or questions you may have, you may put them in the chat box. So over to you.
Yeah, so Suryansh, what do you think is the difference between management in UK and management in India? Like, did you consider like you can give a CAT exam and after that you thought of applying for management in India, or your only aim was to have a management degree and that too masters in management? What was basically your game plan for that?
So honestly, I thought that I was done with the Indian education system. I've had enough of it. Like the entire school life and undergrad life, where you don't really get to choose what you study, where you aren't really taught well, and it's a very different mechanism. Like Indian education system doesn't value education according to me. This is a personal opinion, obviously, but that's what I believe. And I did not want to go to a rat race again to study for 1 year for like the CAT exam and then give it like just, I'm sure like all of you guys would have done for the JEE, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's not a fun thing. And I realized that that is not how it should be. Like you should be preparing 1 year to literally go for a course that lasts 1 year. And like even if you get a good score on that particular exam, then you have interviews and the process was so rigorous, it didn't make sense to me. And the education system will also obviously like I believe in India, IIMs are not that great. Obviously, if you pass, like, if you pass it from IIMs, you will get a fucking great salary. That, I mean, that's not questionable, right? You will get a really great salary, but as to the experiences you'll get, as to the education you'll get, I don't think that's anywhere close to what you can get in international business schools. The cultural diversity, the kind of people you'll meet in different universities, I don't think IIMs come even a little bit close to that. Like when I was looking at different universities, I did go through the curriculum of IIM, and it was literally one subject after the other, one subject after the other. There was no aspect of experiential learning. There was no aspect of, like, the focus was literally on just understanding how business works. Like, I get that, but where is the practical experience? How do I know? Like, how do I apply that? Right. So that's why you might not know, but like a lot of people who go to these IIMs, they end up doing a second MBA. They end up going to international business schools and they end up getting another degree because the education they get at that point is just so irrelevant. They never learn how to apply that. They're not at a point in their career where they can actually be like, okay, I know this and I can apply this. No, they never reach that point. And that's why it's basically you just ended up wasting 1 year of your life. So, right, IIMs were not really something that I considered. ISB is a really good university, I would say, Indian School of Business, because like their curriculum, I would say, is very similar to what international universities offer in the sense that they do have a lot of experiential learning within their curriculum. But again, I felt like I had studied in India already. Now I really wanted to like go out, explore what other countries had to offer, and meet people from different parts of the world, right? Because you'll realize this very quickly if you ever go uh, to study internationally, that it's a very huge world out there. And while you're in India, like you'll just realize how bound you've been. Like when you start meeting people from other cultures, how different they are, and it's an amazing experience. It's a learning opportunity, I would say, and I wanted to just make sure that I had the chance to experience that once. I might like it, I might not like it, but I really wanted to experience that firsthand. So it was like a clear choice for me that I wanted to go abroad for sure.
Okay. And in this process, like you applied, and now you are. It's been, I guess, 1 month since you are studying in. Or I am in LBS. So what are the barriers that you face that you didn't know of? What's your experience like being a
I mean,
student in UK?
yeah, coming from engineering, it'll be probably the first time you'll be studying finance and accounting, so it's going to be a pain. Honestly, those are very different subjects as to what you might have studied in like technical subjects. Like finance and accounting, they're not really a science, they're more of an art. Like there are a lot of like, there aren't really clear boundaries. Okay, this is how things should be. So you would probably struggle with that. Uh, as to like just lifestyle choices, like if you're living in central London, everything will be expensive, and you'll have to pick and choose that what events you go for, what socials you go for. You'll have to manage your time and your money very well. Like time management is something that is essential because things will keep happening. Assignments will be due all the time. You'll be meeting so many new people, and it's gonna be insane. But you have to learn that skill of like time management as well as money management because you need those to survive in London, I would say. Like I knew that okay, these are things that I'm gonna be needing. But you see, when you come to a business school, you don't really go there to study. You go there to network. You go there to meet people from across the world. You go there to find job opportunities, and your academics has nothing to do with it. That's the hard reality of it. Like your academics won't get you a job. Like people who are, I mean, this might sound very irrelevant to you, but like there are a lot of people in my batch who are applying to investment banking, right? So our course started 1 month ago, but their applications are already closing. Like their applications are done. So your course has no relevance whatsoever as to you getting a job or not. It's like you put the name LBS on your CV because you've already started your course, and whatever LBS had to do, you got that already. So the academics don't really matter that much. But you need to network. You need to meet new people, and when you'll be meeting these new people, you'll be trying to make friends, obviously, right? So it really gets hard to manage your time.
Okay, so Yeah, also during your undergrad, you published few research papers, right? So if you could throw some light on that, like how much do research papers, what role do they play in like increasing your chances of admit or building up your profile?
I don't think research papers play much part, especially in purely management programs. But like for example, if you want to apply for programs like Masters in Business Analytics or Masters in Analytics and Management, which are like which tackle both the analytics as well as the management part, and these are also 1 year courses. In those particularly, your research papers would matter because they would want to know what analytics experience you have, what research you've done, what technical knowledge you have, right? But for like if you're applying purely masters in management courses like these, the research papers I don't think they matter a lot because like they don't really care about the technical aspect of the research papers. The only thing it might be like, okay, that you've written a piece of work that's been published. I mean, it might get you some brownie points, but I don't think it's a particular aspect that needs to be there if you're applying to purely management courses.
Okay, so for basically for management related, it should be like so research papers basically should be in your domain, right? Like suppose if you are going for MS in maybe computer science or data science, then maybe
Yeah,
having a research paper would help.
yeah. Then you definitely need papers. Like if you're going for technical masters, like it's very hard to get into technical masters without research papers.
Got it. So okay, so
Also, like,
uh,
what were other things that you added to your profile? Like, did you work on your extracurriculars for that, and like, what stood out for you?
So honestly, like I didn't have any extracurriculars. Honestly, I didn't really work a lot in clubs or anything at MUJ because like like, I moved out of the hostel after the first year, and when you're living away from hostel, it's not really that easy to just be able to participate actively in all the clubs and all the events, right? So that wasn't really a huge part of my life. And then from third year onwards, like everything went online, and no one really gave a shit about events because it was we were the first ones who were experiencing this all online thing, right? No one had any clue as to what to do. So we didn't really have any events, so I didn't really have any extracurriculars, but I did try to, while like in the summer break, I did try to get an internship in a more business oriented, like in a more business oriented role. So I worked as a business development intern at this startup called Olic because I figured like I already had a sort of a technical internship, and if I was gearing towards a more management role down the line, this that would obviously benefit me because I would have something to speak about that I could connect with with the other people who are working in management who might be interviewing me for these universities, right? So I did that internship, and apart from that, honestly, like my resume was quite technical, I would say, because obviously, like all the projects you do in a engineering college is like data analytics, machine learning, website, and all of that, right? So I would say my profile was quite technical in that sense. But that's the thing that your profile, like just your profile is just one component of your application, right? A lot of other things matter. Your academics matter, your GRE matters, your essays matter a lot, your interviews matter.
uh,
Hi, Bhaiya. Hello.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
you are.
Nikhil, you can.
Okay. So first of all, welcome. And you have been there at LBS like for a quite time now. So like I really wanted to know about the lifestyle, the culture, and the like, especially the about the food that there is about like around and the things you do in your free time at LBS. Like obviously you are pretty much busy, but like what do you do to kill your time? Like if you are like want to do take a break off or something from your course.
Uh, so like there's literally no free time. Like I am not even kidding. Like before joining this call, I was in a meeting with the program office, and literally after this, I have like a 3 hour workshop session. Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yes, we can hear
Yeah.
you.
And right after this call, I have like a 3 hour workshop session on one of my courses. So like there'll be points in my calendar. There are like 4 entries for the same time slot. It gets really insane because and these are basically just the social aspect, the academic aspects, right? And then you also want to just go meet your friends. You want to explore London. You want to like go out of London as well because like UK is huge. So honestly, like most of these weekends, it's been trying to get my assignments in. But like last weekend, like me and like 6 7 of my friends, we went to this place like 3 hours away from here by bus. It's called Bristol. It was like a small town, and we just spent the entire day there. So like there are a lot of places you can go for day trips, but obviously you'll be dead tired the next day. So you have to make sure about that. And then like there's just so much to explore. Like there are so many museums, so many art galleries. Like there's London Eye, there's the London Bridge. All of these places that we'll eventually go to. There are bus tours. So like there is honestly no shortage of things to do. But you just have to figure out time. You have to manage that. Okay, this is what I need to do. And also like at LBS particularly, every Thursday we have this thing called a sundown. So what happens is at from like 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Uh, the student association at LBS hosts uh, how should I say this, like a party or something like this, free food, free alcohol for 2 hours. You meet your program people, you meet people from all the different programs, from MBAs, masters in finance. You meet the professors. Anyone who's part of LBS can come there, and it happens in like the front lawn of the school, and you just chat for 2 hours. It's like a set thing every Thursday, and then obviously people go out after that. So there's always something happening on.
So how do you prioritize your day? Like, how do you know that these are 6 7 events and some are overlapping? How do you know which one to choose? What are your like, priorities set? You want to network
See,
more or
it depends. It depends. So, like, for example, if someone wants to apply into the consulting industry, right? He'll pick the events who are like, oh, that are more relevant to that industry. Like, sometimes it happens like there are events that me and like two other of my friends are interested in. So we each pick an event, and we like all three of us attend different events, and then we just share the insights of whatever happens. Because you'll have to do that honestly, because like there's so much happening. There'll be company presentations happening, and you can't keep track of all of them on your own. So you'll have to make groups. You'll have to make people who are interested in a similar career journey as you. If you're looking for like more like more career focused events, and for social, it's always going to be like who are the people you want to hang out with. Honestly, that's it.
okay? And what about the academics part? Like, how do your classes go and like all those things? You take out
So
time for
like
that?
so like obviously you have to attend classes because like at LBS most courses only last for 5 weeks, and there's one class a week, and you miss a class, you fail the course basically. So it's you don't really have that liberty to like miss a class, but like so you have like 3 hour classes for most courses per week, one class, and you have to attend them. So like it's not really option of okay, should I sleep or should I attend? Like you don't have that option that you might have at MUJ, right? So you need to attend those obviously. And uh like when I came to LBS, people gave me this advice like at LBS you'll have three circles. One will be your recruitment, one will be your academic, one will be your social. You can do very great at one, you can be okay at one, but you'll suck at the third one. You pick which ones you want, and these might vary throughout the year, right? Because if your recruitment is going on, obviously you want to focus on your recruitment. But like for example, right now consulting recruitment is going on, but that's gonna end in like December, January. That's gonna die down. So like then those people obviously won't give a shit about recruitment. They'll just party. They'll socialize. For me, my recruitment doesn't start till like December, January. So right now I'm enjoying myself, but then I'll have to focus more on recruitment. So it really varies. And honestly, I don't think a lot of people come to LBS with the focus of academics. In particular, I would say that the LBS has its academic policy set in a way that you don't really have, like you have to try really hard to fail the course. Okay, you have to really mess up if you want to fail the course. And they have done this to ensure that, okay, we know that you've come here and you have the option to study hard. You have it. We have amazing professors. We have all the support we need to study. Like we have some of the best professors in the world. But also, if you don't wanna, it's fine. You do your thing. Like you won't fail. And that's why it's like the even after we pass out, LBS has a no grades policy. Like your grades will not be you can choose to not disclose your grades. Like even when you submit your transcript to anywhere, they won't know
Yeah.
your grades. They'll just know you pass or you fail
Oh,
with the course.
oh,
And that's I think that's the beauty of the school, because this way, even when you pick your electives, you don't have to pick things you're good at. You can pick things that you want to learn, right? Because normally when you're
yeah,
picking
yeah.
electives, you pick things that look easier so that you can get a decent grade.
Get a
You don't
better
have to
GP.
study. Yeah, get a better GPA. But if you don't have that constraint, then you really think, okay, should what do I actually want to learn? And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, Bhaiya. So you talked about the this flexibility of like not disclosing the grades that LBS have. So is this a like general norm with other UK universities as well, or is it just specific to
Honestly,
you?
I'm not really sure, but I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be. Don't quote me on this, but I think this is a thing particular to LBS,
Okay.
because some
Yeah.
some UK universities really pride themselves in their academics, like King's College London, London School of Economics, UCL. These universities actually just take pride in that. Okay, we have the best academics, we have the best students, so they would obviously want to release their grades. They would want to say that, okay, our university students like scored really well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what was your reason for like choosing UK specifically? Like most of the people, like usually in MUJ, what I see is like they usually go for like US or Canada or yeah, maybe Germany. So, what do you think that the main thing that you found in UK, especially? And also to add to that, how do you think the how welcoming are they in the UK? I mean, the immigration and the visa law.
Okay. So starting off with the countries, how did I choose that? So, like I was sure that wherever I studied, I wanted to work there for at least a little while before I decided if I wanted to come back to India or not. And that really cleared things up a lot because, like, for example, if I had to take an example of Australia, Australia doesn't allow you to work unless you do a 2-year course, and they don't have a 2-year master's in management. So obviously, if you do a course there, you can't work there, right? So the, Australia was out, obviously. Then when you look at Europe, Europe has some of the best business schools. I agree, Spain and France, both of them, and even Germany. But the language barrier still exists. Like the more you read up about it, you'll realize that okay, you can go there, you can learn the language, and you'll probably be decent at it. But unless you're really willing to put in that effort to become fluent in that language, so that like you can speak it as fluently as your mother tongue, it'll be really hard to climb up the ladder because like even if you take an example of India, like like if you're in the office and like a casual conversation is happening, most likely it will be happening in Hindi, right? Not in English,
Yeah,
most likely. So what do you expect if you're working in France for a company where people around you are French? Will they be talking in English? Really? No, right? They'll be talking in French. And to follow that conversation, to be part of these social interactions, because these are quite important for you to climb up the ranks, right? It's really hard to do that if you're not willing to put in that effort for learning a new language from scratch, and you need to be good at it. So like I know a lot of people learn languages, and if that's for you, then I think Europe is a really good option. Personally, I didn't think that I could be good enough at a language so quickly, so it wasn't an option for me. I was like, okay, Europe is nice, but like it'll be really hard to learn a new language while in a completely new place while trying to do all of these things. I did not want that additional burden, and that's why I decided to not apply to Europe. After that, US. US is a very personal choice. Like I just did not see myself living in the US even for like even my after my uh One second.
It looks like there's some connection issue.
Yeah,
So we'll
yeah, maybe there's like something, something important. Anyway, in the meantime, I would like to tell every single person here that, we'll be taking questions at the end from you guys. So what you guys can do is, just go to the chat box and just type out your questions, like any question that you have for Suryansh Bhaiya, like be it regarding GRE, be it regarding LSB, be it regarding MUJ, or even time management or whatever. So we'll try to answer as many questions as we can in the meantime. So yeah, so do that as well. I think Suryansh Bhaiya will be back. Yeah, he's back. I'll just admit him. Okay.
I'm not sure why my internet dropped off. Yeah, what was this? Yeah, right. I was talking about US. So US was really a personal choice that I knew I didn't want to continue working in the US. So I didn't even bother applying there. And it was just a personal choice. Like I know a lot of people who from my batch who went to US. And if that's somewhere you see yourself, then that's perfectly fine. So that's why I only apply to UK and Canada.
Okay. So like Bhaiya, as you told, like life over there is pretty much very hectic and you really don't have free much like that much free time. But like compared to like your engineering days here at MUJ, like what was your routine and like how you used to spend the time? Like was there any sport or like what all things used to you do in campus? Like and like have you ever like bunked any of those classes specifically?
Ah, honestly, like in-person classes seem like such a long time ago. It's really hard to get. It's like almost 2 years now, I think. Yeah. I mean, like we used to bunk classes, we used to get labs cancelled, all those things did used to happen. And mostly like there's really no place to chill around our campus. It's either you stay in the campus, you're sitting in the hostel with your friends, you're just chilling, talking, having some food, or it's like once every week or like 2 weeks you end up going to Jaipur, the same mall, the same places, and there's not a lot honestly in Jaipur. Like you could plan day trips to I think Ajmer, Udaipur. People did go there sometime, but yeah, I think like compared to right now, so university life in back in my undergrad seems like so relaxed, so chill, like nothing to do, like that feels like that was like I didn't really have to do anything. It was like, I mean, yeah, assignments, you could just copy paste from people. I mean, classes. It's not really that huge deal. And obviously, no one really studied till exams were there.
And like you told like you opt out after first year for hostel and you
Yeah.
shifted into a PG. So like what was the major difference apart from hanging out with the friends? Like what was like your own time with there?
Uh, I would say that it, like, since I shifted out to a flat and I was living in like studio apartment, so it really gives you the freedom to just uh, be with yourself, to understand how to live alone, because like it's not really easy when you're living at home or you're in hostel. Like life is much simpler, but like eventually you'll have to get used to, living alone at some point. And I feel like because I had that experience, even while coming to London, that's not something I was worried about. Like a lot of people were really thinking about how they will manage everything on their own, how they will live alone, away from family, how they would have to manage it. And that's a thought that did not even cross my mind, because I was obviously when I first moved out of hostel into the apartment, I struggled quite a bit because it was a very new environment for me, trying to cook all your meals yourself, trying to make sure your place is clean, and making sure you leave on time to get to class. Because if like I used to live in I don't know if you guys know this society called My Haveli. It was like 14 kilometers away on the highway, opposite to Highway King, I think, near there. So to make sure I used to like I would get class on time, get back on time. It was a really nice experience, but I would say that if you feel like you're a social person, don't do it. it's going to destroy your social life for sure, because you like enjoy the hostel life. Okay, because it, it's 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 not going to come around again. So like, just if you are a social person, definitely stick around to hostel, because you'll have to miss out on a lot of these events, on a lot of like when people are going to hiking to get drunk. But if you know you have to drive back home, you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a choice.
Okay. And like I have like this is my personal question. Like if you get a chance to go back to your college life and get back to the hostel instead of PG, would you do that?
Personally, I wouldn't.
Okay.
Personally, I wouldn't, because I really enjoyed like doing things at my own pace, like doing everything based like around my own schedule while I was living alone in the studio. And like I could have friends over. I could, like, if I wanted to drink, we could drink at the flat, we could party. Like it was nice in that sense. And that's why honestly, like I wouldn't. I would still take the studio.
Okay. Yashwin Bhaiya, are you speaking something?
I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Suryansh, like in college, when you told you used to bunk classes. So how did you manage like academics? You used to study alone. Like I know in third, fourth year you haven't been to offline classes, but still like in your first 2 years, how was it?
Honestly, like for academics, we just studied when when we were nearing exams, like five, like for the sessionals it was literally like 3 days before, like the weekend before. Normally if the session started on Monday, we'd start studying on like Friday or something. For the like the final sem exams or the midterms, we would study like, yes, 7, 8, maybe 10 days before that. And it would vary. Like there would be certain topics. Like if one of us was like in my friend circle, if one of us was good at it, then we would just explain the topics. Like I was good at economics, so I would like teach my friends those. Like if someone was good at like for example microprocessors, microcontrollers, then he would teach that. And like we would mostly study in college, and if sometimes we had to study, like I could stay in the hostel or they could come over to the flat. But yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't say like there was really an active studying component, honestly. Like for quizzes, I mean, you just Google the answers, and it's a
And
joke.
like you were aiming for higher studies, so for that was GPA or keep on that you excelled in GRE, but did you like focus on your academics part towards your third fourth year to score a good GPA?
I wouldn't say I particularly focused, but I would say that like throughout, like I wanted to make sure that I maintained a decent GPA, because like I didn't know that what I was gonna do, and I would not have a chance to like go back and fix it, right? So regardless of where I might want to end up, I want to make sure that I have that consistent, decent GPA that I could use any point down the line. So I wouldn't say that my focus, if honestly, if anything, after classes turned virtual, like my focus on academics wavered, because like there was literally no deterrent to make you study, right? Like literally the class would be going on and you would be on your bed sleeping, like for online classes. Like if you had in-person classes, you would actually be in the class and you could like at you would at least just understand 20% of it just by passive hearing, right? But if you're on your bed and the teacher is teaching and you're not even hearing anything he's saying, you're not gonna understand anything at all. So that happened, but then again, it was online exams, and I mean, I don't think I need to say anything more.
Yeah.
And like MUJ in particular has a very lax grade, like GPA academics system. Like it's really hard to get bad GPA. I feel like, I mean, like we have a pretty lenient grading curve, I would say.
Yeah.
Like I'm
And
not sure if you guys know, but like in my batch in like the final semester, like so many people got a 10 GPA that it's insane.
what about like you have a like I guess in MUG you have the highest GRE score right now. So how did you get that? And like how was the planning? Because I know a lot of participants here are like mainly here for that. They want to know that how did you choose GRE versus GMAT, and how did you score such an exceptional score?
So honestly, like when I was doing my research between GRE and GMAT, I realized that most universities accepted both the scores, first of all, GRE and GMAT both. So it was more of a personal choice. It was more of a personal choice as to which exam I wanted to do, and GMAT focused more on the mathematical part, while GRE focused more on the verbal part. Right. So while I was doing my research, I figured out that there was certain distinguishing factors between the two exams. Obviously, apart from the verbal and mathematical one, like a very simple one would be GRE allowed a calculator, GMAT didn't, and what else? I think in GMAT you can't skip the question. I'm not entirely sure on that one because it's been a long time since I did that research. But these were like little factors that I was considering at the time. And like personally for me, my I felt like my verbal was much stronger, so it would make more sense to go for the GRE. And when I started preparing, so first of all, I took the Magoosh subscription. So Magoosh is like pretty much the most famous platform for GRE preparation, I think. And I think that was a really good choice because like they have a huge question bank as well as a lot of these forums where you can ask questions and a lot of great videos like on literally everything. But the point is that like it's very content heavy. So unless you have the time, I wouldn't say anyone to go for Magoosh because it has a lot of videos. Like they literally go into the granular detail of everything. So you need to spend quite a bit of time on it. So that was like the online platform that I used. And apart from that, it was just books. Like I would say the Manhattan Prep 5 LB. That's one of the best books that I used, I would say. It had like 1,200 questions or so, I think. And I would say they were the difficulty of those questions was the closest to what I found in the actual exam. So I did those. I did a couple of other books, and this is like for just the question practice. And for like obviously for GRE, like people normally score really great at the maths part, but people struggle with the verbal. So I wanted to make sure that I balanced both of them out. So whenever I would be doing like verbal practice, I would simply note down the words that I didn't know about, in a Word document. And like by the time I was 2 months through my preparation, I had a list of like 600 words that was literally curated to me. Like I didn't know those words, right? And like I would be reading those every single day, just trying to remember what they meant. And apart from that, there's also like there are two apps by Magoosh itself. One is called Flashcards, one is called Vocab or something, and I used those as well. Those were really good, and just trying to remember the words and what they meant. Apart from that, there was another website called GregMat, and don't worry about it. I have all of these resources listed down in a document that I think I sent to you guys. You can forward it if you want.
Yeah,
So yeah, so that website Gregman that was really good for writing and like actually the guy who created that website he got like a 339 by 340 in GRE, so like he knows his shit. He's done it multiple times, and he created that website to help people out. So it's like a free platform, but you also have like a paid subscription if you want. And he also has videos on how you can learn words more easily. What are some like strategies for quantitative for the math section, and those were really great. And I think I just went through those and consistently giving mocks. I think I gave like 8 mocks in total, I think 7 or 8 mocks. And I think that was pretty much it, how you build up to it. But that's the thing, right? Like a lot of people start preparing for these GRE and GMAT exams like 1 or 2 years in advance. Like because you still have that mentality. Like if it's an
yeah,
exam to get somewhere, you need to prepare like for like JEE mains or for CAT because in India every exam is like that. But like a lot of my friends who did that, by the time they actually had to give the exam, they were so burnt out that they didn't want to study. They hated studying for the GRE or GMAT, right? Because like you've been doing it for 1 year, you're like, I'm so done with this. I would say don't do that. When you actually do plan on giving your exam, take a summer holidays or whatever, but like do it in a span of 3 to 4 months maximum. But do like a very concentrated, dense period of like preparation. And that's really what worked out for me. I think I started total for 2.5 months, but pretty much every day I was studying up to 6 to 7 hours, and just doing that consistently, making sure you do the words, making sure you put in the effort, because like the higher you score, it'll simply make the rest of the process that much easier, right? But like
Yeah.
obviously again, it's not just about your score. Like depends on the university. Some universities will say if you have a good GRE score, it's sometimes like an automatic admission, but then there will be also universities where people get like it is part of your profile, but it doesn't define or doesn't give you an entry or a rejection from the university. Like I know people at LBS who got in with like a 660 GMAT and people who got rejected with a 750 GMAT. So it's not just one, it's just one part of your profile at some of these universities, but obviously that's something that you'll have to research on your own because that really varies from university to university and what they value at what scale.
And in the same for GRE, I have seen a lot of people struggling with the essays. So they read a lot of essays. Some who have scored really well on their essays, but they don't know how to like attempt it. And do you have any suggestions for them that how to approach?
So I think first of all, like the you mean like the writing part, right? AWS
Yeah, yeah,
section.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I don't think a lot of universities, first of all, consider AWS. Or like, even if you get like an average score, that's fine. You just don't want to have like a very bad score. That's it. Like, that just needs to be your goal for that. Like, for me, I studied for the writing for in the like last 2 days. That's it in my entire preparation. And for even for that, um, actually not 2 days, I think 3 4 days. But what I did was I saw so Greg Man, the website I told you about. So that guy has two videos. So there are two writing tasks in the GRE, and he has one video on each task, and the video is like 40 minutes long. He properly explains with the structure of how your writing task should be like that. And like just to clarify, like don't have to use the exact same structure, but by having that structure, you save the time of thinking about okay, how should I start, how should I end. You don't have to do all of those during the exam if you have a structure in mind while you go in. So I just went through those videos and then I wrote, I think 5 6 essays of each type, got them reviewed by a friend of mine, and like she scored them, and I tried to keep improving and whatever was missing, and I think that was it.
And what about after you put up your profile and got all the scores ready? How was the interview process for your admissions at LBS?
Uh, so the interview process at LVS is a little bit different because like the interview is taken by an alumni of this school. So like we are like someone who's passed out and who's either working or who's from your country will most likely be interviewing you, and it's most likely going to be more like a conversation rather than or like a hard interview. Okay, so like you obviously need to know that whatever you've written in your essay, you need to understand those, and because they will question you like, okay, tell me about your experience, and if you've written bullshit, if you've written things you haven't done, it's going to be really hard to justify them. But obviously, it's not going to be like, okay, like tell me something like it won't be like a job interview for sure. Like it really depends on how you end up driving the conversation because there have been like when I've talked to like people who got in, some of my friends, like for some of them, like it was like just like a normal chat and they were actually telling them the other person things that they didn't know. And for some it was really difficult. So it really depends on how you justify yourself about different things. And obviously they want to basically the I would say the interview is to see this is how the career like the admission committee put it to me once I asked them that the reason why they do these interviews with the alumni is that the alumni know best what their like their classmates were like, right? And this is to basically see if they would want you as a classmate or not. That's it.
Yes, so the purpose of interview is basically, yeah, they like want to know more about you and your interests.
Could you repeat that question?
So the purpose for these interviews is like essentially to know more about your interests. Right?
Yeah, more about your interests, more about you, because like the only thing they've seen about you till that point is the essays you've written, right? And like honestly, like you could, a lot of people go for these what do you call them? Like these agencies, right? Where
Yeah,
you
these
get your answers
consultancies.
written. Yeah, consultancy, right? So like it's quite easy to for people to go for them, and when you do that, then like you wouldn't know what you've written, right? Like you wouldn't have that good of an idea of how much, like how deep knowledge you have of the answers that you've written. So I think it's also about like understanding that what you've written should be right, and like you're the one who's done that. Like they want to know about your experiences.
Okay. Now coming to TOEFL or the IELTS exam, how to like prepare for the like especially the vocabulary section, because I have like consulted a few seniors and they told me that for vocab section, like usually for the those word meanings and all, you should like ideally start preparing maybe 4 to 5 months in advance, and then like do it like let's say 5 words a day or something like that. So, what are your views on that?
You mean like 4 to 5 months? Start studying for IELTS 4 to 5 months before.
For the
So
like
just the
word meaning
vocab.
part, essentially, yeah,
Okay.
increasing.
Uh,
Yeah,
so I mean, like I would say that for GRE particularly, yeah, you might want to do that for the vocabulary. It really depends on how strong your vocabulary is in general, I would say. That determines of how much time you need to put in. Okay. But for IELTS, I wouldn't say like honestly, I prepared like 1 week for IELTS. That's it. Like it's not a big deal. IELTS and TOEFL, those are very easy exams, and you only need to pass a certain cutoff. Like they don't really determine if you will get into a university or not. They are just like a minimum barrier that the more like the UK government wants it more than schools at this point, honestly.
that clears it up. Okay, so many people have this doubt, like what's the difference between the MBA and the MIN program? So, if you could throw some light on that.
So like the MBA and the MIM program, people do them at very different points in their career. Like uh, all the sessions that I attended at like LBS, like people would keep asking this question, and like it. See, the two things aren't really comparable because like you do the masters in management if you want to accelerate your growth, if you want to like accelerate going into a certain industry in a certain country, or you want to like get into something different from what your undergrad was in. Okay. You want to like accelerate your career path right from the start. And the MBA is more towards if you want to pivot into something that's different from what you worked in the last 5 to 6 years for. Like people who worked in maybe the consulting industry, but now they want to try investment banking or something. They would normally go for an MBA and then pivot because that gives them a platform to do that. Because like coming out of an MBA, like coming out of MBA program, they don't have to justify their 5 years of consulting, right? Because they're like they did an MBA and that's their most recent last 2 years of experience. So that gives them that break to pivot, and also it gives them that time to like not be burnt out, I would say, right? So that's why like most MBAs in like most international MBAs need you to have at least I think 2 or 3 years of work experience, while most masters in management programs require you to have less than 2 years of experience. Like if you have more than 2 years of experience, you can't even apply to MBAs. So I
Okay,
feel like that's the major difference. And like most MBA programs, like the people would be having like 4 to 5 years of average experience.
okay, so that clears it up. Like, if you are basically if you are going after like let's say 3 to 4 years of experience, you should go for an MBA. And like if you're like directly opting for after undergrad, then you should go for a
Yeah,
MEM program.
right.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question that like most people asked was the scene of the scholarships and the financial aid, like with regards to UK and very especially at in LBS.
So actually, there are a lot of scholarships in UK. Like there's this website. I don't remember the name right now, but I'll send you the link later. That they collate um, the scholarships that the UK government gives for people coming from different countries for different universities in the UK. And so, like, I'll start from like the start. Okay. So there are two kinds of scholarships. One are called external scholarships. One are called internal scholarships. Internal scholarships are provided by the school itself, like whichever school you're applied to and you got in. These are normally based on either merit or financial need. Okay. And for external scholarships, you have to apply separately. You have to find them out. They are much harder to find, and they are not really school specific. So you apply for those external scholarships, and if you get them, then good. But those are generally for a lower amount. Depends, like there are multiple kinds, and some of them may even have certain rules attached to them. I'm not sure if you guys know about the Chevening Scholarship, but it's one of the most famous ones. And what that scholarship is like, they'll fund your education, but you have to come back and work in India. So like it depends on what is your career goal, right? So like some of these scholarships might be right for you, some might not be. And apart from that, so at like for LBS, you don't really have to apply for scholarships, at least the internal ones. Like if you've gotten an admission and if you receive a scholarship, they'll automatically let you know. Like they already consider you for all the scholarships that you are eligible for, and they let you know if you receive one within a week of your admission. But for different universities, it varies. Like some expect you to write in essays and hand them in. That why do you think you you should get a scholarship? And for financial need, also it really varies. There are bursary scholarship. While bursary scholarships are basically financial scholarships, financial need scholarships. And for those, you have to write essays at LBS as well. That why do you think that you need this, and how are you planning to fund your study? So there is obviously a good chance of getting a scholarship, but the fact is that if you're going to some of the top business schools, you'll be competing with some of the best people across the world, right? So to get a scholarship at some of the good schools is insanely difficult. So it really depends on where you're going and like how do you fit into that particular school's normal student group as to how likely you are to get a scholarship.
Okay. Okay, so now there are a couple of questions in the chat, so we'll move to the chat section. Uh, so someone's asking, Bhaiya, what's the difference between the 1 year MIM program versus the 18 months or versus the 2 year MIM program?
So I think that that's more of a university to university thing. Like some universities have like a longer MIM program, which lasts for 18 to 24 months, and some have like a 1 year program. So I think there's honestly no difference as to what certification you'll get, but it's similar to like how some of the IIMs, ISBs have like a 1 year program MBA, and most of the international universities have a 2 year MBA, right? So there isn't any difference as to what you'll be qualified as. It's just as to the school thought that they needed more time to teach you the relevant skills. They need more time to equip you with the skills that they feel are right for that. And that's why they kept the program to be longer.
Someone has asked this question that how do you like what the question is basically ranking versus more internationally recognized universities. So like how did you make your choice? You were like looking more towards the ranking, like because we know some better universities in the Europe. So how did you like choose? You were going after the name or the ranks that we get on the internet?
Honestly, I was going more for the how I felt about this. Like I interacted a lot with the LBS community through like, talking to people on LinkedIn, talking to people in all of their career events. And that is what really attracted me to the school because like everyone I talked to was just so welcoming and warm. Like I wanted to be a part of this community, like which wasn't the case with other universities. And obviously, at like some point when I was shortlisting my universities, I wanted to make sure that I would go to like some of the best universities, but that wasn't really a hard set rule for me. It was more like a filtering system. Okay, now I've got these universities. Now within these, I can go anywhere. It doesn't matter to me. Now it's more about the people, more about the course, more about what I'll get to do there. And I think that matters a lot. Like a lot of times people just go for the name and then again they just they struggle with the course. They don't enjoy themselves. And I feel like if you wanted to do that, you could have just tried to go to an IIM. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
Like if you want to actually have if you want to enjoy yourself, if you want to get the true international experience, then ranking shouldn't be the only thing that matters.
yeah. And someone's asking, what about the expenses that what like you're doing MI at MI at LBS? What are the other expenses that you face? Like we can Google it up, like what is the fee structure and all. But like while you are living in London, so how expensive does it get?
Very, very expensive. So like I live in so London is divided into six zones. Like zone one is the most central zone, and that is where my like university is, and I live right across the university, and like that is the most expensive zone basically. So it depends on if you're willing to travel like 30 minutes every day from the bus or the tube, then obviously you can get a cheaper accommodation. But if you want to live close, then you'll probably have to pay more. So like I think my yearly rent, no, my monthly rent is about 1,200 pounds, which is 1.2 lakh. That's just the rent. And after that, you pay the electricity, water, gas, and you you need to pay for the groceries, going out. So eventually, it comes down to I would say around 20 to 24 lakhs, the
Just
living
living
expense.
expenses.
Yeah, this is just the living expenses. That's that's when you live in central London. That's like one of the most expensive areas, and you're living like a good life. Obviously, you can if you live in like more outer part of London, and if you're going to a different university, you can get by for much cheaper. Uh, like if you go for University of Manchester, which is in UK itself, I think like there are rooms there for like that even go for like 400 pounds a month. It's like 40,000 rupees a month, right? So it really depends on what kind of space you're also looking for, right? Like if you want to live for cheaper, you can share a room with someone. Obviously, that's going to be much cheaper. It really depends on you. Like I feel like you can even get by on like 10 to 12 lakhs probably, even in central London, but you'll be really sort of scavenging by. Like you wouldn't really be enjoying itself. And if you think in the bigger scheme of things, I feel like even if you need to spend like a little more money right now, but like if you enjoy yourself because you won't get this time again, right? And if you plan to work internationally or even back in India, this amount would be recovered quite quickly, honestly. Like it a year, like
Yeah,
half a year or something, and it wouldn't really matter. But the experiences that you'll gain and the friends that you'll make here, they'll last you forever. So that's why.
Okay, Bhaiya,
so
yes, sir. So,
uh,
like in the MEM program, there I don't think like are there any is there any scope of the RA or the TA programs, or maybe for example some on-campus job, as it is in the people do it in Canada or US.
I mean, there are TAs. It's quite like you really need to be good at a subject because normally it's a 1 year course, right? So if you're really good at a subject, you can personally mail professors and ask to become a TA, but it's not that common. Like if you're really good at something, then obviously you can do that, but it's not common. And honestly, like you'll have so much to do. Like I say that it's it'll be difficult to work as a TA as well.
Okay, that's it. So, Lakshya is asking, Bhaiya, how do you manage your time in a way that you also care of academics while also stay in and improve your own skills in the process?
I think like three buckets I told you about, right? For me, academics is at the last point right now. Like when I be closer to my exams, obviously it will move up the ladder. But right now it's at the bottom. So like I know that I need to go to classes, I need to attend, I need to be attentive during the class, but that's it. I'm out of the class. I'm not gonna go home and study. I'm not gonna go home and revise the lecture because that's not my priority right now. So you really have to figure out what your own priority is here, and you pick those circles, and you just try to make sure that you pick you make sure that you are able to change between them, right? Because it won't be easy. Like if you have a really hyper social life, and then your recruitment starts, you need to be like, okay, now I need to stop. Now I need to get into that recruitment mentality, and I think that's about it.
Also, someone's asking that how to convey your story effectively while tackling the admission essays.
Uh, I would say, like for LBS at least, like they really want to know you. They want to know about who you are. They want to know your story. So make sure that you put in some personal, personal touch to your essays. Like because everyone's gonna be writing, okay, like all those generic things, right? Like that you put in every essay that yeah, I'm gonna be a great student, I'm gonna help and whatever, whatever. But like actually talk about your experiences, about who you are as a person, because like LBS in particular has like I think 9 or 10 essay questions, and some of those are very irrelevant to what you would think might be in an application. Like I remember answering one question. It was like, "What is your most important international experience?" One was, "What are your hobbies?" And these are not questions that normal universities would ask, but LBS asks these because they're like, this is the only interaction we've had till now, and we really want to know you more than what your goals are. We want to know more about you, who you are as a person, because we're not taking you in just because, like, okay, you want to get a job. No, we want to know who you are as a person.
Someone's asking your thoughts on MIM versus the 2+2 deferred MBA program we have. That it's difficult to get in, but if you get in like 2 years, you work, and after that you can go for an MBA program abroad.
Where it's at immediate.
No, 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 not MJ, but like if you apply to like universities in USA, so there is a 2+2 deferred program
Okay.
for that.
I think they're fine, but like I wouldn't want to be held down for like 4 years. Basically, if you're saying that if you get into that program, then you know you're going to be working for 2 years, and then you know you're going to be going to an MBA for 2 years. So basically, you can't have a change of plans for 4 years. And I wouldn't want to be that stuck in that situation. I mean, some people would love to have like a goal, a direction in their life, and like, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the next 4 years. Personally, I wouldn't want that. I would because see, like we are all starting out our career journeys right now. Like we might think that okay, we like this, but we could be completely wrong. Like we could be
Right.
end up working in like a completely different industry in a completely different role. So I feel like that's why the 2+2 might not be that good of an idea, because if you're working for 2 years and then you realize, okay, this is just not for me, I want to go to arts, and you're stuck up in that MBA, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the next question, Maruf is asking, when is the latest one can start preparing for their first attempt of GRE as an undergrad? Also, what is the minimum amount of time one should spend preparing for it?
Uh, I mean, depends on what your goal is, right? If you want to get like a 300 on your GRE, you can get that very easily. If you want to get a 310, you have to work a little harder. If you want to get a 320, you have to work a little more. So it really depends on what kind of universities you're applying to, and as to when do you, like, I would say don't even think about if you're already thinking about giving a second attempt before you even give your attempt one, that's not a good strategy to go for, right? Don't think that you have multiple attempts. Just think that you have one attempt. You want to give your best shot and prepare your best, because why do you want to waste 16,000 more rupees? And like, it doesn't make sense. All right. So just make sure that for that one attempt that you give, you do your best, you prepare your best, and you go all out for that one single exam. And I would say if you like, if you want to give it, if you want to apply in the first round of for most universities, you should probably start in like April or May. I think that would be like the end of your third year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good time to start and be done with your exams by August or September, and then you can start applying and working on the essays.
Okay, Bhaiya, we have a question. Like it is like when we get into a business school, and like obviously you told it's very hectic to manage all the things over there. So like, what are the necessary skills, like that are required to keep up with the curriculum, academics, and like especially the meetings which you have with alumni or the networks you make there. So like, what are the necessary skills?
I would say the most important is communication skills. Like you'll get really like it will hit you really fast of how unsocial you were back in your undergrad once you go to an international place, because trying to talk to people who don't have a same cultural background as you, who don't have common points as you, it's really difficult. And you still have to make conversations if you want to get something meaningful out of it. And by meaningful, I don't just mean like if you want to talk about their job, but also if you want to make friends, right? You want to know how to make conversation, and that's not something that is really taught in India. It's for some people it comes really naturally, and that's great. But if you're not one of those people, you're gonna struggle. But that's something you'll have to learn, because like for any business degree and for any business role, this communication is a very key part of everything that you'll do. And I think that's the most important skill that you'll have to learn of how to talk to people. You think you know, you don't.
And like one more question I have, like you told us, like it's good on our part like to have an experience of 1 or 2 years before applying to business school or management studies for higher. Like could you brief us more on that part? Like what all you could have done, or like you would advise us to do like before getting into management studies, and specifically if we target LBS or Imperial College.
I would say if you feel like your profile is not strong enough right now, if you maybe you didn't focus that much on your undergrad, you don't have a strong academic score, or maybe you don't have enough internships or projects or something, I would say go and get some work experience, because like at LBS we have people with zero work experience like me, and also people who are coming in with like 2 years of working experience. So like the spectrum is quite large, and that's why it really depends on what point do you feel comfortable. Okay, now I think I feel like my profile is right and I have all the aspects that I need, and that's when you should apply, like because obviously having work experience is a good add-on. It's a good add-on to have on your CV, especially when you're coming from like an engineering background and you want to shift into management. And then, because like even if you're doing a completely technical job as a software engineer, there will be parts where you'll have to communicate with different teams, communicate with the managers, and these are certain things that you can highlight when you're talking about your experiences, right?
Okay. And as you said, like you come from a technical background, you come from an engineering background. Like I have this curiosity, like what's the most unconventional or like educational career background like people in your class have there at over there at LBS?
Uh, Yesterday I met a guy who studied ancient history for 4 years. So I mean, that's one of them. I know people who did like philosophy, people who did life sciences, people who did arts, people who did industrial engineering, business, economics, everyone.
Quite a diversity over there.
Yeah, like this one person who studied music for 4 years. Right? He's
Yes.
Oh.
Thank you.
Also, someone's asking like visiting the LBS campus or like dropping some names of some alumni or professor in your admission essay. Does this like add some value to it? Is it a worthy addition basically to the
Oh,
essay?
honestly, I am not sure. Like when I applied, they did LBS did have one question that do you know anyone from LBS? So I mean, I'm not sure how much do they weigh that question, but they did used to have that question in their application, so it might not. I'm not entirely sure about
Yes, someone is asking how to shortlist universities and how many did you apply for?
I applied for 5 universities, and as to how you can shortlist, first of all, you need to pick the countries. What's your priority? Like, do you want to go to a university and come back to India? Then, like, the world is your oyster. You can apply literally anywhere. Like, but if you are like you want to work in that particular country, then you also have to look a little bit more deeper into the visa laws, into the language barrier, and things like these. And that will help you define the countries that you want to go for. And after that, you can like I went for the QS World Rankings because I felt like those were quite nice. But there are so many rankings. You pick one, you try to get some like that's a starting point, right? You see which universities there are, and then you start researching about them. You see what their courses are. If you like the course, then you shortlist them down in your Excel. Like you make an Excel, you write down all your universities in those, and then you start figuring out their fees and if maybe some is infeasible or maybe some of them might require something that you don't have. Like some might require a business background, which is completely possible. So you're not eligible for that, right? So you remove those, and then you eventually start talking to people from those universities to understand what they offer. And if you start interacting with them through their events to know more about their courses, and I feel like eventually you start like listing them down and shortlisting them. Okay, like these are the universities I want to apply to. Normally people apply to 8 to 10 universities.
Uh,
Uh, yeah, Yashwin, you were saying
Someone's
something.
asking, can you specifically like list out the various technical skills required? Like what kind of
For
things that you deal with there?
Honestly, you don't really need any technical skills because, like I just mentioned, like people come from all different backgrounds, so it's not like they assume that you have a certain technical background to be studying at LBS or to do any of the course. So they start from scratch. So you don't need any technical or business knowledge for that matter to do the actual program. Like they will start you up from scratch.
So that's all the time we have. Suryansh, do you have any advice for us, like weaving students, that what should we go for next? Like some advice or suggestions for us.
I would say, like, when you're researching your universities, pick carefully. Don't just think about one thing about, maybe just about the rankings or maybe just about the jobs or just about the name. Think about it on a broader level of, and think of the bigger picture. Think about, okay, I want to work maybe in that country and figure things out based on that. Don't just be blinded by the short-term side and then work your way towards that. And even if you get rejected from a university or like if you apply right now, it's fine. Work a year. If it's your dream university, apply again. It's fine, honestly. People have done that. People get in. So just make sure to keep going on that journey. And if you feel like that is the path you want to take, just go for it.
Okay.
Okay,
So I guess
that,
we'll wrap up the session with that. Thank you, Suryansh Bhaiya, for joining us. We've got some really good insights and valuable insights from you, and like we are really inspired by that. We'll have such more sessions going on further. Uh, I think we should end the meeting.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. Just add a note while you're sending me a request so that I know like we met at this thing, and I'll be happy to help you guys.
Yeah, that will be great.
Yeah.
okay.
All right. Have a
Okay,
great
thank you
weekend, guys.
everyone joining us, and we'll share Suryansh Bhaiya's LinkedIn ID in the chat. So thank you, Bhaiya.